she's going to talk for a few minutes, and then we'll have time for a couple of questions. Since we don't have microphones, if you have questions, just you can just stand up and yell them. So.
Thank you so much, Debbie, and thank you, Mercer University, and all of you fine folks here. I'll let you just look at that for a minute. I really am very flattered and a little bit overwhelmed by this, so give me a second here. I grew up in the news business, so I was very fortunate in that regard. My father was a journalist for about 50 years, and he's trained a lot of people you've heard of. And I had the benefit of growing up in that environment from day one. So, unlike y'all, I didn't go to J school. I just kind of learned it on the job, as it were, just growing up. And I think because my news ethic is that very old school ethic, because that's what I was around and that's what I was steeped in all day, every day for many, many years. I feel a responsibility to carry that forward into the present. My dad gave me some very excellent advice when I told him when I was about 12, I think I want to be a reporter. He said, you know what, don't get a communications degree. He said, get a degree in a subject like economics, political science, history, English, because what they teach you, and I'm distinguishing between communications and journalism here, okay? What they teach you in a communications program is how to push buttons. The buttons always change. You can always learn how to push new buttons, but what you do with those buttons does not change. So I take that to mean focus on the substance of your reporting, less than the technology that you use to deliver it. And you can pull up my website right now and say, oh my God, it looks like garbage, okay? Some people think it looks great. I look at it and I see all the flaws, and I'm sure some of y'all will totally see the flaws. But here's the thing, when you have no newspaper, you have to do something right away. So I grabbed the first template I could find and just started shoveling stuff into it. What happened was I used to work for the Clayton News, which is, I'm sorry to say, a ghost paper now. It basically contains feeds from CNN and everybody else, and very, very little local reporting. We were short-staffed to begin with. I was the crime and safety reporter for Clayton, and I was essentially doing the same job at Henry, and covering a little bit of local government, like county commission, maybe this city, maybe that city, right? In Clayton County and in Henry County both. So each of these papers, there were 3 reporters between the 2 papers and 1 sports editor. The first round of COVID layoffs in the end of March, I think, last year, we lost 1 reporter who basically covered most of Henry County, and we lost a sports editor. The second round, they lost me, and there were some other behind the scenes staff that they got rid of too. So they have 1 reporter for the 2 papers. Think about that. What does that mean? One person obviously can't cover 2 counties by himself or herself, all right? When you have a county like Clayton County that is made up of 7 municipalities, that's multiply everything by 8. Because you have not only all of the city councils, the county commission, you have all the police departments, you have the county police department, the county sheriff's department, you have, I think it's 24 or 25 county boards. You have all the boards at each city. There's no way one person can do it. So I have to pick and choose my battles. The most important thing for me is to tell people what is going to happen, not what happened last week. And if you guys get into this industry and you find yourself in this situation, please, I want you to think about using the tools you have on hand to get the story told. Don't worry about if you have the best tools. Worry about if you're making the best use of the tools you have. Because right now, it's an all hands on deck situation. 1 of every 4 newspapers in this country is dead. It's gone. And we need y'all to come up in this system, and we need y'all to think on your feet and not only get into the existing newsrooms that are out there, that are solid, that are going to be there, but we need you to innovate and go out there and create new things like this. We need real trained journalists to do this, because without it, we don't have a democracy. If y'all are not the guardians of democracy, folks who get into office will do whatever they please. And they do. So while you're thinking about coming into journalism, please think about the importance of the mission. You are the guardians of democracy. And it may be something as simple as counting the votes at the county. It really does matter. And basically that's what I've got to say about it. If anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Yes?
So, did you ever feel hopeless or down and like doubt yourself? And if so, how did you get out of that slump?
Yeah. Mostly in between times when I wasn't working, you know. But in terms of doing this mission and making sure that there's coverage in Clayton County, I don't feel down about it at all. I feel rather lucky. I've had a lot of support. There's a fellow named Richard Griffiths, who is a very big deal. He was the past president of the Georgia First Amendment Foundation, a fine organization I urge you all to join. And he's been like an angel behind the scenes, helping me get things straight with the paperwork and the business end so that I can concentrate more on the editorial. But you know, you cannot let those little bumps in the road get you down. You just have to keep moving. Yes, ma'am.
Where would you say your dedication to the county came from?
The fact that it was a job that needed to be done. I live there. There's a lot of complex political machinery, just given the number of agencies and jurisdictions, and one paper can't cover it sufficiently. At least by my presence as a separate entity, I have seen the other paper step up its game, and that's what it's about. You can't have too many people in that space.
We have one last question?
Yes?
Who or what is your inspiration?
Oh, my dad. My dad for sure, Jim Kemp, he's the man. He's a real old school news guy, and he was a combat correspondent in the Korean War, and he was a stringer for life, and he was a Capitol correspondent in Houston, and he ran a bunch of newsrooms in New Orleans for many years, and he wound up his career as the senior assignment editor on the national desk at CNN, and he's my buddy, and I'm real proud of him, and feel very privileged that I had a lot of time to learn off of him. You know, look for somebody like that in your studies. You know, it might be a professor, it might be an editor you haven't met yet, you know, it might even be one of your classmates, but somebody who you can look up to and say, wow, you know, look what this person is doing, I want to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Robin.